The East Central Coast of Florida. What a great place to live, work, and play. From the Space Coast to the Treasure Coast, the attractions in Orlando to the Gold Coast, we've got you covered. The latest news to weather and, of course, our talk shows daily. We have only one mission here at WMEL, and that is to be the best. After all, what else is there? We're AM 1060 WMEL and on the World Wide Web at 1060WMEL.com.
The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of WMEL staff, management, or advertisers.
This is Joe Steckler, folks, your host for Focus on Seniors. Focus on Seniors is designed to educate, inform, and connect seniors and those that care for seniors to resources in Brevard County. It's a wonderful program. We have many, many wonderful programs to assist seniors in Brevard County. Today we're going to talk about dental care and some new advances in dental care. But before I get to my panelist, Dr. Sheldon, I want to remind everybody that the phone number for radio station 1060 AM, note I said 1060 AM, and the reason I'm saying 1060 AM, WML, AM 1060 AM, is because we have a new transmitter, new signal. We're very powerful. We reach a lot more people. And it's a stronger signal. You'll hear it better. It's just a great advance for John Harper and his radio station. But the phone number here is still 631-1300. And the phone number for Kay Kaiser at our information specialist at the office is 473-7770. And I just want to let you know that in our first full year of operation now, Kay has handled over 500 cases of case management. We're going to talk about a couple of them today because people are getting help and it's not costing them a cent. Not one single penny. The people that make all this possible for us or make it possible, Gentiva Home Health Care, the Eye Institute, Solid Bite Dental Implant, Bill Johnson, Elder Law Attorney, radio station 1060 AM, Wusthof Hospital System, Levin Home Care, Ren Care, Atlantic Shores. And one of our big sponsors was the Social Adult Daycare down in Palm Bay. It's very sad, you all, I have to report that Bob Weber, who was the owner of the station, passed away quite suddenly and unexpectedly over the weekend. So we're not sure what's going to happen to the Social because that was Bob's baby, and he had tried for years with the concept to put this thing together, and it was just starting to work wonderfully well. So I just ask for you to keep Bob Weber in your prayers tonight. We never know how our prayers are answered or what all it means, but those of us that have a belief in God that everything has a purpose, and Bob's starting something wonderfully. I hope somebody will continue it, but keep Bob in your prayers, and life will move on. So, Dr. Sheldon, are you there?
I am here, Joe.
It's sad that things like that happen because, you know, when you helped us start, and Dr. Sheldon, folks, was one of the founding directors of our organization, Helping Seniors. So Dr. Sheldon has a very good understanding of the importance of adult daycare and how it can help families. And it's just like you, Lee, with a new organization that you're starting and trying to unite periodontists and bring people to a better awareness of what good periodontal care can mean to people. The same thing applies to ways to care for seniors and people that have dementia, that have had strokes, that have had problems where they can't associate in a normal way. They need help. And that's one of the super good reasons why we have adult day health care. So,
I'll tell you, part of it also is you and Kay, and I'll tell you, and Bob, and a number of people that I've met as a result of having been involved with Helping Seniors in Brevard County. part of it is being on the receiving end, and we talk a lot about that, the benefits, and 500 people, 500 cases actually being solved by K at no charge. That's the one side of it, and of course we're doing this in order to be able to provide benefits to seniors. But there is another side of it, and it is the Bob Weber side. It is the Joe Steckler side. It's if you have the wherewithal and you want to do something and you want to accomplish something, you can do it. One person can do a lot. Everybody knows Joe Steckler. It's because Joe Steckler does a lot. And, sometimes we say, all right, we're retired. Well, I want to take it easy. I understand. Sometimes I say I want to take it easy too. But there's a certain satisfaction that you get from creating something, even from contributing to something. And rather than just dwelling on being on the receiving end, there are a lot of listeners out there who are saying, I'd really like to do something to help people. Helping Seniors of Brevard County is a way in which you can help people. You can create your own project. Yeah. And so if there are things that you say, I'd like to do, there may be things that Joe says, hey, I need some help with this. So let's also look at what we can give, and I'm not just talking about monetary giving, although we need that, but certainly service giving as well. And whether it's the Helping Seniors of Brevard County or whether it's creating a new project for yourself, man, how good will you feel when you can see the satisfaction of what you've done?
Just think for a second, Lee. Your wife, Eleanor, has helped you for years in your office management and doing a lot of the things that freed you up to do the things you do. Recently, Terry and I were asked to be featured in a magazine, and Terry said, what am I doing? And I thought to myself, well, you only do things like check everything I do, give me ideas, go with me to meetings, participate in the Advocacy Council meetings for Brevard County, come up with great ideas, check my spelling, do all these things. A lot of people don't realize how much our spouses help us as we do anything we do in life, and that's so important. And you have the same experience, Lee.
Oh, I absolutely do have the same experience. I can think of a physician friend of mine who tells his wife, "Look at what Eleanor's doing," and it is Eleanor who is actually doing the nuts and bolts work, so I can be out there doing the things that I do.
Yeah.
And the same thing for you and Terry. Yes, there are those of us who tend to be more public people, and we can't be public people unless there's somebody else. And for me, it's more than Eleanor, but Eleanor is the primary person. But it's more than Eleanor who actually do all the nuts and bolts work, so I can look good out there.
Yep. Over the years, and you made a comment about what I do. I like, probably what you're talking about, the way you mentioned will probably trigger somebody to make a phone call to Kay at the office at 473-77770 to become a volunteer. We have had more people calling to become a volunteer. And a good example is we have a lady that I've known, she and her husband for years. Her husband passed away, and this lady is a marketing person and a former social worker. And she says, I want to be involved. I want to help you, Joe. So I said, what do you want to do, Mo? She says, I'll help you put some of your sponsors in place. That's great, because we're trying to build a network of people that if you need a plumber, if you need an electrician, if you need air conditioning work, if you need car work, if you need help of any kind, we are working on putting together a network of people that will sign an ethics statement with us, agree to provide good work. We hope to be able to get them to give the seniors a discount for the work, but we'll be able to trust them. And we will follow up to make sure that the people get the right kind of help. That's so important. But what was important was this lady recognized that she has a lot of talent, she has something to give, and she wants to be involved. I get very, very upset, Lee, at times when people say, I can't do anything. I don't know what to do. hell, you got to think about ways you can help. It's let's talk for a minute about periodontal disease. That's your specialty, and you know, there's so many people, and I'll say that until I met you, I didn't really understand periodontal disease. But at the same time, I've had a heart operation. I've had all kinds of serious, costly surgery. And, you know, I wasn't going to go to a general practitioner to put my aorta back together. It called for somebody to do more. And since I met you, and I've become familiar with what you do, and I had you do some dental implants in my mouth because, and I don't think it was because of periodontal disease. I just had another problem years ago. But I wanted to be able to chew right, to bite right, and not grind my teeth all the time. And I said, what's the best way to do that? And by the virtue of the fact that I knew you, I already had a dentist that I really liked. But he didn't do what you do. And I guess I've had so many people call me, Lee, and say, well, who should I go to for a dentist? I said, it depends on what you want and what you need. And I said, how do you know that what you think you have is what your problem really is? I said, who have you gone to find out if what you're thinking is wrong with your mouth is really what is wrong? And the guy couldn't give me a good answer. So I told him to call you. And I don't know if they tell you that I told them to call, but I think it's so important because in this day of advanced medications, advanced medicine, and the techniques that we have, and I had a guy send me an email about a visit to you, Lee. And the guy said, I was thoroughly impressed. I'm trying to recall the email. I was thoroughly impressed by Dr. Sheldon's equipment, his CT scan capability, the way he could clean teeth that other dentists couldn't do. But he said, I was also concerned that all this is not covered by insurance. Well, I think people are awakening to the fact, Lee, that there are so many types of medicine that are not covered by insurance, and moreover, we have doctors that are not even working with people to try to make up that gap. Can you address some of that?
Well, I can, and let's address it in a number of different ways, because you picked, when you talked about dental implants, you picked the most expensive thing that I do. And so the first part of it is, yes, you wouldn't go to a general practitioner to do heart surgery. In fact, a general practitioner wouldn't even be allowed to do heart surgery. But people, for some reason, don't necessarily seek out specialists. And, of course, my particular specialty has to do with diagnosis and treatment planning of adults. That's what we do. And whether we do the work or whether we make recommendations, our work has to do with supervision and prediction and predictability. And that's why you see a periodontist. And, of course, as you know, I recommend that any adult who has periodontal disease or any adult who has some complex dental issues should be seeing a periodontist for at least a second opinion, if not a first opinion, to develop a predictable treatment plan that may remove the need for the expensive dental implants. Now, obviously, I do dental implants for a living, but I also do diagnosis and treatment planning for a living. And if we can save a tooth, and I mean save a tooth predictably, and I'll address that a little bit. If we can save a tooth predictably, well, you know, the bill can be perhaps 1/3 of what the bill would be if we were to have to replace with dental implants. Part of periodontal disease has to do with the amount of bone loss and the amount of attachment between the bone and the tooth is lost. But we've got there's some evidence and stronger evidence that sometimes, in fact more than sometimes, that bone can come back. And we tend to extract teeth very early, maybe earlier than we should, because we're saying, oh, he's got gum disease, and therefore eventually you're going to lose the tooth. We might as well take that tooth out now. Well, it doesn't have to be. You've talked with my associate, Dr. Michelle Furtado. And so I asked Michelle to go out to California over the weekend to take a one-day course. So we flew out on Thursday. He took the one-day course on Friday, and it was the course was given by a periodontal microbiologist, 75 years old, who's been doing microbiological research for his entire career. He taught me, so this is somebody who's been around for a long, long time, and discovered that even the things that we knew about periodontal disease, there's something new. There's something different, something that will help people more than they might have been helped before and make some teeth more salvageable, more savable than they were before. So let me go into that for a second. Ordinarily, we talk about plaque, and plaque accumulates on the teeth around the gum line, and plaque is bacteria, and the bacteria gets below the gum line, and as a result, we get bone loss, and the teeth get loose, and they come out. Right? I mean, that's a standard story for periodontal disease. Well, and for most patients, we're able to get the periodontal disease under control, provided we do the treatment correctly. And obviously I'm going to say the periodontist is most likely to do the treatment as well as possibly could. That's what we do all day. That's what we do every day.
But Lee, how about when people, when they're 30 and 40 and 50 years old, when I look in a mirror and I brush my teeth and get toothpaste all over the mirror and have to clean it off, if I remember to clean it off, how do I know that I am a candidate for potential periodontal disease, which could ultimately lead to severe problems that could cost me a lot of money, like dental implants? How do I know that?
Only through a periodontal probing examination.
Say that again.
Take a ruler that goes between the gum and the tooth, and you hear the dentist calling out numbers, 3, 5, 7, 9. The larger the number, the more bone loss that has occurred. That means the larger the number, the deeper that probe can go below the gum line, the more disease has occurred.
Okay, so when I hear them call out those numbers, if I'm in my 30s, what can I do in my 30s to make those numbers become less? How can I treat myself? How can I be treated?
Well, there's a couple of things that, number one is correct cleaning at home. And so brushing and flossing, deplaquing, taking away plaque once a day is the most important thing that you can do. But there's something new. And the something new is this. For a certain number of patients, we haven't been able to get periodontal disease under control. That's why we have to extract teeth and do dental implants. Except, there are also teeth that decay, and we have to extract those teeth and do dental implants as well. But what Dr. Slotz, who's in Los Angeles, found is that it isn't just bacteria that occupies the pocket. That there's actually 3 different types of viruses that occupy the pocket as well. And viruses are attached to the inside of the tissue, and viruses can't be killed by antibiotics, and they can't be cleaned with brushing, flossing, or with regular deep cleaning.
So what do you do?
Well, the virus that's been identified is the herpes virus, the virus that causes cold sores. And there are antiviral drugs that are available that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years that are used to treat cold sores. The same medication that's used to treat cold sores can be used to help treat the virus that may be occupying the pocket that may be causing the periodontal disease to continue. It's a neat discovery.
Wow. But if I go to a regular dentist, can I rely on my regular dentist to tell me those things when it's time to see a periodontist? I'm not trying to get you to put anybody on the spot, but I have found that sometimes when you ask questions, you get different answers. What would I get if I asked that question, Lee?
Well, on the one hand, you'll get you'll get the dentist who will say, if you have periodontal disease, the best person to treat that is a periodontist.
I agree.
And on the other side, you'll get, my hygienist can do the same thing. You don't need to go to the periodontist.
See, with a good examination, you could probably have a really good chance of getting to the right person to treat you for what your condition was, if they're honest.
I'm sure there are general dentists who feel, and perhaps some general dentists who do a great job at treating periodontal disease, but I don't think there's any substitute for seeing a periodontist because that's what we're trained to do. If we're going to school for 3 years beyond dental school to be trained in bacteriology, immunology, and all of the things that are associated, not just the surgery, but also the diagnosis and treatment planning, I got to tell you, when I was in my periodontal residency, once a week we had case conference. Case conference is where you present a case, and you're grilled by your professors and outside periodontists who will look at the data that you have for your case and help you think through the most complex.
Hey, Lee, we got to take our mid-show break.
Do it.
Finish that thought when we get back on, and stay with us, folks, because we got a bunch of things we still want to talk about. So do stay with us.
The East Central Coast of Florida. What a great place to live, work, and play. From the Space Coast to the Treasure Coast, the attractions in Orlando to the Gold Coast, we've got you covered. The latest news to weather and, of course, our talk shows daily. We have only one mission here at WMEL, and that is to be the best. After all, what else is there? We're AM 1060 WMEL and on the World Wide Web at 1060WMEL.com.
AM 1060 WMEL.
This is Joe Steckler, folks. We're back live with the second half of Focus on Seniors. My sponsors for the second half of today's show, designed to educate, inform, and connect seniors and those that care for seniors to resources, conclude Senior Scene Magazine, Hometown News, Spotlight Magazine, Seniors Helping Seniors, an organization that sends people into your home to help you do things you can't do. The Fountains of Melbourne, Beth Courtney of the Braswell Financial Team, the Kennemuth Chiropractic, Canadian Meds, Wiedemann Malik, Vitas Hospice, Peaceful Beach Mediation, with Brooke Goldfarb as the attorney there. She's a Harvard Law School graduate, folks. She knows what she's doing, and she can help you. And the last sponsor is Barbara McIntyre of Reverse Mortgages. And let me tell you just a real quick story. It happened the day before yesterday. We had a lady call the office. She asked Kay a question, and Kay said something, and she gave her the first person to call. And the lady asked another question, and Kay gave her the next person to call. Same thing happened for the third time, and folks, it happened in succession for the fourth time. The woman needed help from 4 people that Kay could refer to. It actually happened to be sponsors. There was no dilly-dallying around. She got the help she needed right away, and that's why it's so important. So if you need to call Kay, the number over there is 473-7770. It's a wonderful.
I want to say a little bit about that too, Joe, when you get a chance.
Say that again, Lee?
I want to say a little bit about that because, sponsorship does not just mean that we donate money to helping seniors of Brevard County. Joe actually looks and chooses which sponsors he wants, and that has to do a lot more with having to have a certain ability to provide service, a desire to provide service, a certain level of integrity. That's how Joe screens us before he allows us to sponsor.
Well, Lee, that's exactly one of the reasons why. There's an organization called 211. You call 211, they'll give you a phone number for somebody to call. But we're trying to put in place a network of assistance providers. And when I had my car repaired a week ago, I had something done. I had to have a problem fixed with the air conditioner on an older car. And I took it to Jerry's Action Auto over on Beachside. And I got the work done. He told me what the cost of the part would be and what it would be, and I was happy. He's been doing my work for 25 years, so I know the guy, and I trust him. And I asked him, I said, would you want to be part of this network? He says, send me the paperwork, Joe. He says, yes, I would like to be a part of it. See, one day there was somebody was stalled out over on the base at Patrick Air Force Base, a couple of senior ladies, senior citizens. And my wife made some phone calls, saw the people, and Jerry went over there, got the car, fixed it, and took care of the ladies. You know, where do you go to get that kind of service this day and age? Most people just look at you and give you a shoulder shrug and say, what can I do to help? And it's called a Royal Andrews salute. But anyway, Lee, we took a break. When we took the break, you were talking about something, but I asked you a question earlier about how do people even know about periodontal disease, but you've got a program going over there, and the reason it triggers I'm going to ask you about it is because I want you to tell the listeners about it, because I think it's a wonderful way to do a couple of things. It's a wonderful way to find out if you do have a problem, and it's a way to help a favorite charity. I had a guy say to me, he said, well, I think $75 is a lot to get a scan and an examination and something else. And I wrote back to the guy and I said, because if you went to Dr. Sheldon, you could get that scan, you could get all this stuff for $50, or you could make it maybe $75 too. But you can pick a charity that you give an examination to, so you accomplish a couple of things. You get a charitable donation. You get examined by a competent, qualified periodontist to tell if you have a problem or not, and you sort of kill two birds with one stone. Am I right or wrong?
Well, it's true. A dental CT scan goes for $200, $250 all by itself. And for people who listen to this program, and we do this also for people who are referred to our office, who are referred by other dentists or referred by patients, what they do is pay $50 to charity, to one of the 8 different charities in our charitable giving campaign. And Helping Seniors of Brevard County is one of those 8 charities. So you come in with a check, you write a check for $50, a donation to Helping Seniors of Brevard County, and you get the full series of x-rays, you get the CT scan, you get a full examination, and the treatment plan, which involves about a 2-hour visit. All for that $50 to charity, and we're really happy that people have taken advantage of that over the years, and as a result, we've accumulated, or we've donated, or our patients have donated over $150,000 to charity, mostly here in Brevard County.
So we're helping meet local financial needs to support nonprofits and charity organizations in Brevard County. We're keeping the money at home. People are finding out if they need the services of a professional like you. They're finding out if they have a dental problem. Good grief, Lee. When you do those CT scans and do these things, you probably turn up things that they need to go to other type of dentists for, too.
That's right. And there are a lot of things, a lot of advantages to a CT scan. There's an advantage to being able to see a tooth in 3 dimensions. There are things that you can discover. And by the way, the other side of it is there are a lot of things that we're able to find with a CT scan that are good, not bad. So, for example, before CT scans, we couldn't locate the bone nearly as well as we could with CT scans. And so earlier on, because you can't see angles on a conventional x-ray, early on we had to do many more bone grafts than we do now. Now, with a CT scan, we can turn the bone at any angle on the scan, and we can see where bone might be available and eliminate the need for the bone graft. And that means a more comfortable surgical procedure and less cost.
Tell me something, Lee. Why is it important to be able to look? Let me rephrase. What is the significance of being able to look at an X-ray and a CT scan, and what can you tell different about the tooth or the problem by just looking at it from the CT scan angle or the X-ray angle?
Well, I'll give you one example. There are lots of different examples, but let me give one. An upper molar, an upper big chewing tooth, ordinarily has 3 roots. 2 roots that are close to the cheek and 1 root that's close to the palate. When you take a conventional x-ray and look at those roots, often those roots are superimposed upon each other on a conventional x-ray, because a regular x-ray is just a snapshot at one particular angle. But when we take a CT scan, I can literally, on the computer, rotate that tooth 360 degrees on the screen, and I can discover abscesses sometimes sinus infections caused by dental abscesses that I'd never be able to see on a conventional X-ray.
So that's really the big difference.
It is.
You mentioned when we talked on the phone last night that you're finding some new discoveries with dental disease and some things about the relationship between viruses and uncontrolled periodontal disease. Why is that becoming more important now for people to know more about that, Lee?
Well, I think, we had three different methods of treating, and actually now 4 different methods of treating. One was to clean the root surfaces. One was to do gum surgery, and now there's laser, and then there's regular cleaning. But if you have a virus, the virus would be embedded in the tissue, and if you use an antiviral, you may take 20 pills and be able to kill the virus and not need the laser treatment or the gum surgery. It's a matter of the medication killing the virus or physically removing the virus.
Okay. Are we talking large or moderate numbers of people have problems like you and I are talking about today? Well,
it was interesting because we've seen various quotes over the years. 10%, 15%, 6% of people in the United States have periodontal disease. They finally, and I believe it was the National Institute of Health, but I could be wrong, they finally actually did a real survey to find out the number of people in the United States who have periodontal disease that's significant, which means a pocket of, I believe, 6 millimeters or greater. And it's 50% of the population.
Wow. The reason I ask that question is because you started us, founded this program, Helping Seniors, and I participated in a study run by the United Way in 1996, and we identified 18 needs in Brevard County. Over the years, I have tried to promote the development of an aging plan for Brevard County and met with total non-success. So Helping Seniors formed a committee, an advocacy council committee, and we worked for 8 months, and we put a survey out on the website, in the newspaper, Spotlight Magazine, Senior C Magazine, distributed it, churches, we took it all over. And we processed over 400 of these surveys, and it's interesting because in the paper today, Florida Today, there's an article about the ALICE study, and this is a thing that United Way is promoting, where they want to feed and teach children how to read, and feel that more need to be done with children. Lee, I get very, very concerned because we quote national studies, and when we rounded up the results and correlated everything from the local study here in Brevard County, we found that some of the most pressing needs in 2015 are the same things that existed in 1996. And according to our correlation of data, over 400 surveys, 17% of the people, and by the way, most of these are people 70 and older, 17% report needing better access to information. Another 17% need help with finances and managing bills. 12% report health-related. And it went on down the line with caregiving, affordable housing, isolation, and help with medical care. And the last one, a major thing, was better social activities. But the reason I bring this thing out is because one of the top things with finance is we had a lady yesterday that called, and she was 64. Her total Social Security was less than $700 a month, and she was getting $75 in food stamps, and she wanted to know where she might be able to go to get additional money to live on. 22% of the people in Brevard County are over the age of 65, and 19% are under the age of 18. You know, I get it thrown back to me, well, why haven't they done a better job of planning? I think, Lee, that people try to do a better job of planning, but sometimes the finances and the financial input capability are simply not there, but we're learning. But we've got a number of years we're going to have to sort of subsist or help certain people. And it bothers me a lot when we talk about giving all of our money to children and children's education and nothing to seniors. Seniors need to eat, too, the same as children do. And it's pretty darn hard to do that on less than $700 a month when you got to pay electricity, water, and everything else. So, you know, I relate that to what you and I are talking about people being aware of periodontal disease, being aware of how they can take care of themselves. And as a dentist, you know, it must bother you tremendously when you see a senior citizen that would come to you thinking he might need some help with implants when he can't even keep his teeth in his mouth. Do you have that?
I missed that last part. With dental implants and what about teeth in his mouth?
I said, it must bother you tremendously as a dentist when you hear all the stuff that I'm talking about and you get a senior citizen that comes to you for help and he can't even keep his teeth in his mouth.
Well, it's true. And you know, we talk about, and on this program, we talk a lot about dental implants and a lot about the fancier procedures that we do. But part of the biggest problem occurs when you don't maintain what you have. You know, if you lose teeth early, then you lose the bone support for the dentures early, and so we try to keep teeth because the only reason the bone stays around is because the teeth are there. And so our first tendency is not to take out teeth and do dental implants. Our first tendency is to try to keep the teeth. But once the teeth are gone and we have to wear dentures, well, the bone goes away. And it gradually goes away in some areas. In some areas, it goes away rather quickly. And sometimes we tend to say, all right, the denture doesn't fit anymore, so let me go to the drugstore and buy some adhesive. And we keep on using more and more adhesive, more and more goop. Well, the problem that occurs there is that there's only a few spots of the denture that are in contact with the tissue, and the tissue and the bone resorbs even faster. And so a very cheap and easy way of maintaining your ridge for as long as possible is to make sure that your dentures are relined properly by a dentist in order to be able to make sure that the load of your bite, the force of your bite, is distributed over as large an area as possible. Don't rely on goop. Now, sometimes you need to have goop. I understand that we need to have adhesives. But if we use adhesives in the place of bad-fitting dentures, we're getting ourselves into bigger and bigger problems. So it sometimes happens that people have done that, and by the time they've misworn their dentures, then they say, I finally need some dental implants. Well, then I have to do some significant bone grafting in order to be able to give you dental implants, which is a lot of time and a lot of money in order to be able to do that.
Yeah. You know, one of the reasons I've liked talking to you over the years about the general area of dental care is because I went back to some of the shows that we've done over the last 7 years. And I had a person say to me, well, why do you feature Dr. Sheldon so much on your radio and your TV shows? I said, well, several reasons. Dr. Sheldon and his business help us pay the bills to get information out to people. He also talks about a plethora of topics, including nutrition, medications, drugs, food intake,
headaches,
dental disease. My God, Lee, you know, to me, having somebody like you on a radio or TV show that can aptly demonstrate to somebody what potential problems are and how they can be fixed makes a lot of difference. And I told this one person, I said, you know, the thing about what Dr. Sheldon brings to a radio show or a TV show is that he has a wealth of knowledge about many diseases of the body. I said he's made it his business to study the things that you and I are talking about today. And, you know, if you go to somebody and just like they go over to you and get that examination, at least they can walk away from there knowing whether or not they've done the right thing or whether they need to do something better or more of it. And if they do it soon enough, the $50 or the $75 that it costs them could save them thousands down the line.
Oh, there's no question about that.
Yeah. So how do we change the mindset of people to do this? Just like how do I help change the mindset of people realizing that the seniors have needs the same as children do? It's a big problem.
If we're talking specifically about dentistry, and it is a big problem, then I think we grow up with the idea that we don't go to a periodontist unless we're referred to a periodontist. And I've changed that. I've changed that in Brevard County. And part of the reason I've changed that in Brevard County is what you said. I'm very public. You know, I'm with you, and I'm in a number of different areas, and I'm in magazines, and I wrote 3 books. And, I mean, there are a lot of things that we've done in order to be able to educate the public. I think the public's perception of what the periodontist is, frankly, the patient ordinarily doesn't even know what a periodontist is. And so if you just think of a periodontist as the specialist, as the internist of dentistry, then you've got an idea that, in fact, okay, there is a reason for me to see a specialist if I have periodontal disease or if there's a question. You know, if things just don't make sense, then by all means see a periodontist. And I'm not saying just see me. We have 7 periodontists in Brevard County. See a periodontist because periodontists are trained to think through a case, and that's what I was talking about earlier before the break. We sit in case conference, and we are grilled until we really get it and get it well. That's something that is part of our training where we are just looking at case after case after case and being able to plan it properly, think through it properly, and come to a good result. You know, that's something that occurs only in specialty training.
We talk about periodontal disease. You and I talk about it on this radio show. But I remember years ago, I had a call from one of the editors at Florida Today, and they were going to do a bridal issue in a paper. And one of the things they wanted to know about was for the bride to get her teeth whitened. Remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember I called you up and I said, can you do an article for Florida Today on teeth whitenings? Because they tried to do something for the newspaper, and they wanted a dentist to talk about teeth whitening. And you put together a real, it was very short article that told the story on how they could do whiten her teeth, and there were several ways to do it. But this is the advantage of having different types of people on a radio show talking about needs that apply both to juniors and seniors. Yeah. I think it's important, Lee.
Yeah, and juniors listen to this, absolutely. I mean, there are reasons in order to know and get into real advanced knowledge. As a matter of fact, if you want to get to my book, go to helpingseniorsofbrevardcounty.com. HSOBC.com. You'll get a copy of my book right online, and you can start to read about dental health. And the chapters are short, and so you can look at the chapters that may pertain to you and may give you a better idea as to how you can help yourself and how you can learn more about your mouth.
Well, I have to tell you, we're almost out of time, but folks, Dr. Sheldon mentioned his book, The Ultimate Mouth Manual, and he's got the 2nd edition out, and he just told you how to go get it. And if you didn't pick it up, call Kay at the office at 473-7770, and I think you can learn a lot about just not periodontal disease, but how to take care of yourself a lot better with all the stuff that's in the Ultimate Mouth Manual. Dr. Sheldon, thank you for being on the show, and I'll be talking to you later.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much. And thank you, listeners, for listening to today's version of Helping Seniors, and talk to you later. Bye.